beautiful day.
When we left Peck Lake, we headed south towards Lake Worth and on to West Palm Beach. The ride down was very pretty. Their houses on either side, it became much more populated than we had seen before.
We ended up anchoring off the municipal dock, which you can't stay at overnight, and we dinghied in and wandered around town. It had another beautiful little area around the dock with all kinds of street scenes with music and bars and restaurants.
The anchorage in West Palm Beach was really nice, but it has a current like you would not believe going through there, and 3-foot tides, and then also the winds picked up overnight, and it's full of sailboats. We were one of the few motor vessels there, one of the few motorboats there, and so the sailboats, we couldn't figure out. They were spinning, and then we were spinning, and so we just decided to cut our losses and head out. We had every intention of going to the Bahamas, but we didn't want to go to the southern Bahamas. We didn't want to go to the Exumas, so we would be in the Abacos, which is the northern part, and it was too cold for us. We're Texans. We're not gonna go snorkeling, in 74-degree waters. So we decided to maybe next year. Maybe we'll make the round when we come back around through Florida. Maybe we'll go to the Bahamas next year. We're probably gonna head north, Fort Pierce area, and just see about staying a month in different places before we start heading up heading north, the East Coast.
Yesterday was really 30-mile-an-hour winds, and the anchor held excellent. Very exposed here. The wind from that, we're pointing south here, and it was just blew and blew until about 6 o'clock at night, and it calmed right down. It was a very peaceful night. It's beautiful here. We're just south of, or just north of Jupiter, and we're getting a free boat wash this morning. And my rod's getting washed out there, fishing rod.
When I was pulling up the anchor this morning, Chris saw a manatee that was right in front of me, and I didn't see it. I was so focused on getting the anchor up that I didn't notice it. He said he was yelling at me, but I couldn't hear it over the windlass that pulls the anchor chain up. So now we're even. I've seen one without him, and he's seen one without me.
Well, it's another windy evening. We are north of Port St. Lucie and south of Fort Pierce, on an anchorage all by herself. It's about 7-8 feet deep right here at high tide, so we should have a good nice night. We have a good anchor hold and a pretty view of some condos and high-rise. This is is the intercoastal waterway out here, and the mainland on that side. So quiet. The isolation that you feel in some of these anchorages is so relaxing, I guess is one way to put it, calming. You're really not in the rat race anymore. You're really not in the hustle and bustle. And that's not the way it was in West Palm Beach. All those sailboats packed in there, and they're all spinning around at anchorages at night. It wasn't fun. And it was really, really sandy. It was hard to get a good grip with your anchor. And the wind just rotated from south to west to north to east back to south. Anchors don't like that either. But it should be east. This is facing east. And as I come around to the south, the wind should clock from the east to the south tonight, so it shouldn't be that bad.
We anchored out for about 8 nights and decided we were ready to be back in a marina. So we went to the Fort Pierce City Marina, which is the municipal marina, which is right by their downtown area.
They had lots of restaurants, bars, music. It was very nice. We rented a car while we were there and started doing some sightseeing. One of the first places that we went was the Seal Museum. Apparently, during World War II, Fort Pierce was where the SEALs trained for the Normandy invasion, and so it was a very good museum. They had all kinds of equipment from World War II to Korea to Vietnam War to the War on Terrorism. It was a great museum. They had a big Black Hawk helicopter inside that you could sit down and walk around on, and all the different eras of equipment. It was I love history stuff, and it was good. And then they had a little display in there of what it was like there during World War II when they were training, and then they had a bunch of their different vehicles outside that they used to, like little personal submarines for little groups of SEALs to go, and it was cool how they worked. They had oxygen, air tanks inside, because they would be full of water. They'd be scuba diving inside of a ship, that was carrying them to shore. It's definitely a museum you'd like to go see. They had it was big too. They had an obstacle course there that kids were playing on, and they had some NASA's what do they call it? Capsules from Apollo that the SEALs used to help get back on the ship. They practiced with. It was cool. And then I caught some fish. I caught a big fish there at the Fort Pierce dock.
This was off our boat in the marina.
Yeah, I was just out there casting, and I caught about a 10-pound Jack Crevalle. It really pulled. It was a good fight. The water was very clear that you could actually see the fish down in the water and the dolphins, and I saw a manatee and snook and
What is it?
needlefish.
Oh.
It was fun. There was lots of completely acclimated to people seagulls. You could walk around and they would just stand right next to you. And I brought it up, kind of got it up, and then let it loose, unhooked it, and let it go. They're not good to eat. St. Lucie County Aquarium. Apparently this turned into an aquarium tour for us. Then we went to a historical museum and got a little tour. There was an old guy there, he's probably 80 years old, and he told us about how the Spanish ships would wreck on their coast there, and they'd find gold on the beach sometimes, and they had a
a little display of what the Indian villages look like, and they had a historical thing about how the Navy SEALs had been there practicing. And
We left Fort Pierce City Marina this morning, and we are headed north. We had a very nice time in Fort Pierce. The city marina is just off the downtown. We really like city marinas because you're right by the downtown area, and these downtown areas are pretty cute. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Okay, well, it's going to be an interesting day today. We're having a big storm and we're on anchor. So we're going to pick up the anchor. I'm following Laura. Direction as we pull in the anchor. See, I use these levers here to control the boat. Very near the end. Got the anchor up now. And I'm going to head back to the channel, which is right here. So there's a crab trap there and a crab trap to Laura's left over there. I'm going to go right between them, right out here to the channel. Okay, so here's the situation today. There's supposed to be a storm. It's about 8 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock here. So at 2 o'clock it's supposed to start, there's going to be a storm coming from the north, which is the direction we're heading now. Going to blow 20, 30, maybe gust of 40. So we need to find some protection. So point ahead to that island over there. You see these islands? There's a series of these islands around here. And there's one about 8 miles away that has a pretty deep area behind it. It's 7, 8, 10 feet deep behind it. These over here that we're looking at are only a few feet behind it, like that island we went to yesterday. But you can see there's all these little islands out here. Some are bigger than others. So there's one about 8 miles up here called Serenity Island. And like I said, it's deep behind it. So we're going to get up and get behind it so that north wind will be somewhat stopped by the island. There's really no place to get protection from north and northwest winds except getting behind one of these islands. So you have to find one that's got some deep water on the side you want to be on. Since it wouldn't help to be out where we are because it's all open, that strong wind will be strong and it'll have a lot of area to build up waves as it blows down here. So that's called fetch. So it would get very rough out here. So if we can get behind something on the south side of it, we can block any fetch because the waves will be stopped by the other side of the island, and the trees will mitigate the wind somewhat. It'll still be strong, but it'll be better than being out in the open. So you can see the magenta line and our boat right there, a little icon of our boat. So we're traveling on autopilot on a predetermined course. And you can see all these little islands here. These are the ones we were just showing you up there. So we're going to find one that's got some deeper area behind it. So we can zoom in here and see this is a 4 and a 4 and a 3 foot. That's why you can't get out of this white channel, is because it's really shallow. Yellow and green are land. here. And then we can change to fishing chart. And when you do that, you get the contours. So you can see each is a 4 and that's a 5 and a 5. So hopefully we can find some. The lighter, the deeper it is. So maybe we can find some. See, there's nothing around here that's very deep.
Except the channel.
Except the channel. But when we get up to where we're going, it's gonna it'll get lighter over here, which will tell us that that's deeper water. And we go back to the boat, and we stay in the channel. I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little dotted line that it makes where you've been, so that you can, so that you could, when you turn off here and go off up into one of these channels, the one's not here, but see, it's 7 and 8 feet over here. That's good. So once then you can just go back on your dotted line and you know that it's deep. You didn't hit anything. You got two things to worry about. One is shallow water, because you can't travel in shallow water because you'll be touching the bottom. Your repellers will be hitting the ground, obviously. Plus, there's also obstacles. Like if a little boat were to sink out here in 6 feet of water, even though it's only 3 feet tall, then it's sticking up 3 feet from the bottom. You think it's 6 feet and you hit it with your propeller and you damage your propeller, bend your propeller shaft. It can be bad. So not just shallow water, but you're looking for obstacles. A lot of known marked obstacles will appear on this map. There's not one here, but you know, shipwrecks or boat wrecks or, you know, old pilings, they'll mark on here so you know to avoid them. But that's what we do. We just worry about hitting something and running aground. That's the loop. Okay. So here's where we are behind our little island. I'm going to zoom us out so you can see where we are. So we're on the east coast of Florida. This is Cape Canaveral up here. Okay. And here's what the radar's going to do. Is it playing? No.
It is playing.
Okay. So you can see the front is coming down from the north. I think this is the remnant of that cold front that's affected everybody. See? It's coming down right over us from the north. So this should be good protection.
All right, so I'm looking south. We're at anchor. The storm is. We're spinning. They're changing. The winds are changing. Blue skies that way. Turn and look at where the storm's coming from. Oh my gosh! The wind is really picked up. Woo! And that's cold. I'm going back inside.
Okay, so now the storm, it's right at 2 o'clock and the storm is starting. You can see how dark the skies have got. You can see the front bands. And you see over here how the white caps have started. And you can see over here how the white caps are blowing over there. But behind the island where we are, it's calm. Inside the bridge, all the doors and windows are shut. I'll open the door, you can feel and you can hear the wind. See the white caps over there, and you can see how calm here. So we positioned ourselves pretty good right here. We got a good wind break and we've got a very good wave break. And you can see here, this is our anchor alarm. The anchor represents where the anchor is, and that island is the island in front of us. And the blue dot is us. And you see how the wind has started over here, blowing from the west, and now it's turned around, and now we're blowing from the north, pushing us straight back. And that's a circle around us is 175 feet from the anchor in the middle, and that represents our safe zone. If we were to get out of that, then we would have to be worried that our anchor was slipping. Okay, here's a little island. Last night wasn't so bad. We had good protection from this island. The wind has changed this morning, and now it's coming on to us straight from the northeast, so island's not helping too much anymore. But we're fixing to head out. We're going to head on the other side of the bay over here, about 9 miles up, going back north to Melbourne, and we're going to anchor there.
So we're leaving this island that we anchored behind last night. We are south of Melbourne, Florida. The skies are bright blue. We shouldn't have any problems today. We're going to have a short trip to our next anchorage.
If you haven't already, please subscribe and join us next week as we travel to Cocoa Beach and watch a SpaceX rocket launch.